following program is the result of a life turned around by God. Pastor Dimas went from running guns and drugs into the projects to bringing Bibles and the gospel into one of the toughest neighborhoods in New York City. He lives, preaches, and walks the streets of the Bronx. He turned his life around, and now you can too. You are about to hear the amazing story of the dynamic life with Pastor Dimas.
One of the things that I find is really important, more than anything else, is you must find out your assignment and your purpose. And that's one of the most challenging things as well, because, sometimes we wonder, what has God called me to do? How do I figure this out? And one of the ways that I found out my purpose was through trial and error, through a lot of experience. But one key thing that I found to be really true is that it's usually something that you're naturally good at, that you seem to do with ease, and it may be difficult to others. It'll be something that you're able to do, like there's a natural flow when you do it. But when other people kind of do it, they go, wow, I can't, how'd you do that? I found that over and over again, that's been one of those things. Like from a young age, I remember being in a play, one of those elementary school plays, and they wanted, I went to a predominantly white school, and they wanted someone to break dance. Now, listen, I had like breakdancing down. Like I was like, off the chain and all this kind of stuff. And I was like really like tight with it and could do all these things. And I remember getting on the stage and I did like this thing, I think it was called like the worm, and I'm doing that. And then I turn on my back and I'm spinning and doing all this. And I remember getting up and they had scene two and they were like, we're going to get Michael now to go out. And Michael had no skills at all. And I remember sitting there like, you didn't want me in two scenes? I'm like, this is the breakdance moment. That's not breakdancing. What he's doing is not breakdancing, And I remember from that young age, it was like, okay. And then I remember getting saved, coming out of the whole drug world, and I was doing hip hop. I was a rapper, believe it or not. I rapped alongside Wu-Tang, rapped alongside Nas and many others, performed with, oh Lord, I don't want to go through the list, but Keith Murray, different other people. And I remember in the middle of a Nas concert, this violent thing broke out. One of Nas's rappers, it's like somebody from the South threw a bottle on the stage, like over there, and the rapper grabbed the mic and went like this and threw it right into the crowd. What's the odds of him hitting the bottle guy? Probably not good. And next thing you know, you heard click, 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 because they don't search down south. Everybody had a gun. It was like click, 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 click. And I remember I grabbed the mic while Nas and them ran, and I said, yo. I said, chill. I said, yo, don't do this. I was like, yo, blah, blah, blah. And I remember I said all this stuff, calmed the crowd down. Nas and them didn't come back out, which was smart. And then, somebody else came out and the show continued. And I remember several of the DJs grabbed me. They said, come here. They said, dude, they didn't know how to explain it. They said, and I had Jesus. I was working it out. Didn't know, They said, you have a gift for crowd control. They was like, your gift is like, did you see? You just stopped a murder. And I said, okay. And then I went to church, and this minister, he wasn't the pastor, he invited me over and he started to talk to me. And he was like, I don't know if you know this. And I said, what? He said, you have charisma. I said, what's that? I really didn't know. He said, and it's a hard word to kind of explain. He's like, it's kind of like, you start to talk And like people want to rally around you. And I said, all right. So then I read some book and I said, I got back to New York after turning myself and getting out. And I did something that we're going to talk about. And this is a real important time to probably go there. It's in Habakkuk. I've ruined this. Some people say Habakkuk. Habakkuk. God bless you all. Whichever one, you're right. Okay. And then it says in chapter 2, verse 2, then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets that he may run who reads it. So it says, write the vision, make it plain on tablets that he may run who reads it. So this is what I did. I took out a piece of paper and I said, all right, crowd control, charisma. And I was just trying to think, what kind of jobs are those? I mean, literally, I just got out of jail. I'm sitting there like, so I said, all right, maybe a motivational speaker, maybe a lawyer, or maybe a preacher. That was last on my list. I said, maybe one of those. So then I said, well, how do I do it? See, I didn't write it and then just leave it. I wrote it and then I went to my job. I said, aren't you guys doing a conference? They said, yes, we're going to actually do a conference. He said, we're going to have like 400 people here from all over the city. I said, I would love to do a motivational talk for you. They said, okay. I said, yes, I'm a motivational speaker. That's what I told them. They said, let's put him down. The guy's a pastor now who did it. He wasn't a pastor then. He said, you know what? I'll give you a shot. He said, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. I said, I'll take it. So he gave me 10 minutes. I started to work on this talk for 10 minutes. And then at the time, I was a foot messenger. That was a job I had. Any of y'all ever see foot messengers? I mean, some of them got the nasty chains and they're riding their little bicycles and they're all sweaty and it's just a rough job. And I remember I was in there and I was a foot messenger in a law firm. So I said, okay, I'm in this law firm. And, you know, I was single. I saw some lawyers I liked. I was like, some cute lawyers here. I wonder if they know Jesus. So I said, I'm going to change the game here. I started buying suits and ties. The little package they gave me, I put them in briefcases. And I started walking around the law firm like this, you know. And I was like, you know, and I just started walking in, introducing myself to the lawyers there. And then, you know, they started to like me. And they were like, you know what? I want you to take a package to me to Columbia. I said, Columbia University? He said, yeah, deliver this to their law department. I said, okay. So when I delivered it to the law department, I had the suit on, I had the briefcase. I said, where's the law class right now going on? They said, it's there's one all on the such and such floor, all 5 of those classrooms. I said, thank you very much. I walked in there, I had a little recorder on me. I went in, sat in the law department, and I pressed record. I just sat in back of the class. Everybody, this is when laptops were like in vogue. Everybody had a laptop but me. I was sitting there with my little pad. It's like, all right, you know, and I just blended in. I was so glad the teacher didn't say, who are you? You know, they just were teaching and lecturing away. And I remember I was listening and I said, I really hate this. And then I went and got accepted into a college and I said, I want to take a law class. I realized I don't want to argue with no one, ever. And I was able to just quickly mark that off my list. Then the speaking engagement came. I did that. It was incredible. The guy said I was phenomenal. He said one of the best he's heard. But then everybody walked out and I said, what are they going to do with it? So they really going to do anything with this? And that just buried me. I said, did I just give them an exciting 10 minutes, but nothing's going to happen? And then I started going around saying, I got to preach. I got to preach. And I kept going around everywhere. And then one pastor was crazy enough to let me in. He said, come on in. I got a big church. I always pray for that man. God bless that man right now, wherever he is. I went in there and I preached, and it was pretty good, but it was gangster. I mean, I was uncouth. I was just hitting like bang, bang, chop your head off, whip your head off. I mean, but people piled at the altar and gave their lives to Jesus. But even then, I knew that was the grace of God, because it was just too hardcore. I was saying words I could not even say now because I'm more refined. They weren't curse words, but it was pretty right on the edge. My wife was like, you can't say that word in church again. I was like, oh, okay. Like we just started to date at that time. That's how long it took for me to get a preaching engagement. And then I came out of there and I realized the only thing left on the board was preacher. So then I said, how do I dive into that? And thank God I started to talk to my pastor and people and got into NIAC and so forth and got my master's and on and on and on. But there was something about writing it down and making the vision plain. I want to encourage you. I do that to this day. I'm always writing down every day, without failure, I write down what I want to do, what I need to do. Now, here's some ways to help. Now, I want to flesh this out a little bit. Find people that you admire and then write them down as well. Like I'll give examples. So I kind of say, all right, I want to minister the gospel. Who are 3 people out there that I look at and say, that these 3 are the examples of success. And if I could do it like the way they do it, praise God, that would be amazing. And then you take those 3, you write them down, and then you go even further and say, what are the characteristics like? So one thing that's important to me is I have one example of somebody that it's just holiness that you see. When you meet them and you come across them, it's like, I've been in the presence of holiness. That's something that I want. I don't want to just be a fast talker, a quick communicator, a great guy, a whap, this, that. No, I want people, when they encounter me, they say, that's a godly man. That dude, I just see Christ on him. So that's something big in me. So then I wrestle that out to the smallest camp. What does that mean? I got to spend long blocks of time with God. I have to fast, even though I hate fasting. I have to do it. I have to do all night prayer, though I don't like staying up at night. I have to stretch myself in order to hit that. So then that's who I want to become. And then when I find people, which we're going to get into in a moment, when I find people that are far out in that area, I want to learn whatever I can learn from them. So that even by being around them stretches me to pray more than I normally pray now. You see what I mean? And then the others I find, one of them, he reads, he knows everything about the Bible and theology and stuff. So then that challenges me. I got to read more. I got to read more. I got to read more. The other one does all this, stuff with great level of excellence, and it motivates me. And so you find these people, and you're not trying to become a mini them either, but you become the best you could be in those areas. That makes sense? So you start to think like that. You start to process like that. And that's one area, and say, okay, how do I develop this? How do I do? And then what I do is I write it down and I make it plain. So on my wall was one day, I want to be on television 5 days a week, was on the wall. I'm on television 6 days a week right now. Okay? But that was one of the goals on my wall. It was on there it took me 2 years to get there. But God got me there. That was when I said, God, because I said, if I'm going to have this ministry called The Dynamic Life, and if I'm going to have impact into somebody's life, I have to be able to impact them daily. Because you could get information like this, and then tomorrow, what do I do now? Wednesday, man, I need more. I need to refresh myself with this knowledge. Good news, you can. By going to TBN Salsa, or if you have Roku, you can watch me on there. Regularly, the internet, you can watch me all day. So I want to pour into people. God's given me stuff to uniquely give into people's lives. So another thing on there is now to become a doctor. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to finish that? So I worked on it sometime in spurts, and then I got busy, and I worked on it in spurts, and then I got busy. But now I got to move into really focusing in and working on it. You know what the story says? There's an old proverb that says this: any man that chases 2 rabbits will not even catch one. So there's a point in time where I'm going to lock in and say, these next 30 days are going to be focused on nothing else but to get me into a doctorate, a PhD program. And if I get weak, and maybe I'll do what's it called? A D-Min, I may do that. But the real goal is PhD. If I cave in, don't judge me. But I'm hoping I get the PhD. So I have to focus in on that and say, okay, why? Because that's the highest in my field I could go. Once again, what? We're back to the top 10%. I don't want anything to hold against me. When I was going to seminary, this is no disrespect for anybody who may have this degree. Just want to put that out there. I was looking at it and I was like, okay, Master of Divinity, 4 years? I was looking at Master of Arts, 2. Now 2 looks better than 4. And then I remember my mentor, Tim Keller, came in, and the rest of them, they said, we want to meet with you. I said, why are y'all meeting with me? It was like, here's what's important, Dimas. I said, what? He said, I would never want a Presbyterian minister or anywhere you go in life to look at your degree and say, he didn't really do the distance like he's supposed to, but y'all giving him a break because he's, this or that or that or that. He said, Dimas, do the whole thing. I said, you ain't got to say that ever again. Done. You want me to do a Master of Divinity? Fully. Bring on the Greek, bring on the Hebrew, bring it on. I'm in. I will get it done. It took me 10 years, but I got it done. I got it done. Okay? It took me 10 years, not out of laziness. I paid out of my pocket. So I only caved in the last 2 semesters, or the only semesters I owe a debt on. Other than that, I paid my whole way through. So when I had it, I paid. When I didn't, I prayed. So I started to write these things on the board, putting these things on the board. And then I forgot the last one that was on there, and I put it, and that one came to pass too. So it's kind of like you have to see these things, but now we're Christian, okay? We're not in the world. So you find your mission, you put them around, and then you know what you do? You pray, and you pray. And you pray, and you pray, and you pray, and you pray. a day that don't go by, I'm not praying. I'm praying for stuff. I'm praying for Street God to become a movie. I'm praying, God, work this out. I got some other stuff I ain't going to tell y'all, but it's in the works. And I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm praying. I'm praying against the hordes of hell. I'm praying against every demon. I'm praying against everything that wants to stop my destiny. I'm praying against everything. I'm praying and praying and praying and praying and walking and working and praying and walking and working and praying and going and going, even when I can't see where I'm going. Just keep going. Every day I work on my goals. There's not a day go by that I'm not trying to move myself close to the vision. Met some people last week in Hollywood, was there with them in LA, flew back. The next day, I put Street God book in there, mailed it out to one of the top producers of LA, called another one. Tomorrow, I'm stuffing some more Street God. I'm mailing it out to them. I'm making phone calls, sending emails. I got plans. I'm going to work it. And guess what? You're going to watch Street God on a screen. I bet you that. I bet you that. Because there is no quit. Who can stop? Who can stop you if you have a laser focus and no quit? Who can stop that? Only thing can is God, if he wasn't to happen, doesn't want it to happen. The devil won't be able to stop it. All he can do is frustrate the timing. But it's going to come. It's going to happen. If every day, at every moment, you're going for it and going for it and going for it, and you know what they say? When they meet the most successful people in this world, do you know what they think about all day? How to accomplish the goal in front of them. So sometimes you may see me, I'm like in deep thought. I'm not thinking about Facebook. I'm not looking at your posts. I may be your friend. Forgive me though, I'm not going through Facebook right now. I'm not watching stupid things on TV to suck up all my time. I watch a very few small amount of things to just get myself to laugh and giggle and chill out, and then I go to bed. But every day I wake up, I'm working towards something. I put on movies that, you wouldn't even want to watch. I put on movies, this one, it's about a man from India. His name is Sundar Sundar Singh. I may be saying it right. Yes. Sadhu Sundar Singh. I watch him almost every night. It's called A Journey to the Sky. It's free on YouTube. And I watch him walk around India, sharing Jesus. I watch him being stoned. I watch him walking barefoot into the mountain of the Himalayas. I watch him preaching Christ. I watch him being put in the pit of hell in the Himalayas. Hi, I'm Pastor Dimas, and my heart has been breaking for over the last 3 years with all the homicides that are happening in Chicago.
Chicago is literally a war zone. There's a guerrilla warfare going on.
Children caught in the crosshairs are left dodging bullets.
In the midst of an unprecedented, almost nightly bloodbath.
Young African American and Latino kids are dying every single week. For 2017, almost 600 young people have been killed in Chicago. More funerals of young people than anywhere else right now in the United States. Some people even called it Chirac because the death supersedes the Iraqi war at its height. We as Christians need to seriously respond to this. We're mobilizing the body of Christ around this nation to come into Chicago in the summer of 2018. And we're titling it Jesus Summer. We want to go into Chicago for 40 days from July 14th to August 26th and saturate Chicago. We want to bring the gospel to the street, to proclaim Jesus there.
How many of y'all believe that God can break the chains?
Over these 40 days, we're going to be calling in missionary groups. We're going to go in there with teams to minister on the streets. We're going to go there into the parks, Prayer stations will be all over the city. We're going to help churches do outreaches to go in and minister into people's homes as we want to go into the prisons. We're going to bring thousands of mothers and fathers together who lost their children to gun violence, and we're going to minister to them.
Let's give a 3 hallelujah shout. Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
Maybe you're a person that's like, give me a hammer, give me some paint. Listen, we do something called the Extreme Blessing, where families go away and we go in and renovate their homes and share the love of Jesus. We have partners engaged like Crew, Youth for Christ, Prison Fellowship, Mission America, and many others that are saying, I want to be involved. We have Praise Chicago, Together Chicago, hundreds of churches that's saying, come on.
I still have hope that people around the nation go and say, we want God to do in our city what God is doing in Chicago.
We're asking for your prayers. We want to do this together as the body of Christ to make Jesus known. God bless, keep looking up, and keep Christ number one. Peace. Hi, I'm Pastor Dimas, the host of The Dynamic Life. Thank you for watching us today. Currently, our mission is to dynamically communicate Christ to culture, and we want to make 10 million bold followers for Jesus Christ. Your gift will help us do this in a much larger way. We're doing this through film, we're doing this through television, we're doing this through large events. We've networked over 5,000 leaders together in New York City to share the gospel. Right now, we're in Chicago, and we're praying that God will help us stop those homicides. We're in New York City with an event called Jesus Week. We reached 14,000 people. We're trying to take the gospel across this world, and we're sending teams into Puerto Rico. Your gift will help us reach and bring water and food to those struggling in Puerto Rico. God bless you. You can go to PastorDimas.com. That's PastorDimas.com. And you can write to the P.O. Box on the bottom of the screen. God bless, keep looking up, and keep Christ number one.